last time. It's great to see so many people round here again. And just to Jim, I'm really sorry, we're all sorry about Margot. I mean, she was a fantastic lady, and I had the pleasure of actually being in the Scottish Parliament. She bought me dinner, and we had a few chats about politics and policy. So thanks very much. What to say? We're all here because of the guaranteed basic income. But when you look at the guaranteed basic income, where it's actually been tried out, it was soundly rejected by 85% in Switzerland. And I think we have to look at why it was rejected. Now, I think there's qualities about the actual guaranteed basic income, but I think we have to look at it to see if how we would actually get it to be a working proposal. And I don't know if the actual current methodology of actually trying to get this as a policy is correct. And I'll come back to Milton Friedman in a minute, but I think we have to look at the Swiss model as impetus and as lessons, and why that didn't work, and why the Swiss actually voted against the guaranteed basic income. Basically what they were offering was £2,500 or Swiss dollars to every person in Switzerland. Now that means if you had no money, you were going to get £2,500, and if you were on £3 million or $3 million, you were going to get £2,500. Now that is a reverse poll tax, and our friend Tommy Sheridan, who was very active against the poll tax, was there because it was a regressive tax. It treated everybody the same, and unfortunately the guaranteed basic income is a regressive benefit, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means we have to actually look at how it's presented and why it's presented in such a way, and why the Swiss rejected them. Milton Friedman, in the I think it was probably 1980s, 1970s, came up with the negative income tax. Now in the UK there's 4 bands of income tax. The basic income is between 11,000 and 43,000, 20% tax paid. The higher rate is between 43 and £150,000, 40% tax paid, and the additional rate is over £150,000. Now what Milton Friedman basically said was that you would actually get benefits based on your tax level, which makes more sense than actually having a guaranteed basic income that everybody gets the same. What's the point in somebody on a multi-million pound salary getting the same as somebody who's impoverished? People will ask where we'd actually start the level for the poorest, and I think we should start at the poorest. Well, we've already got a cap on benefits anyway, so we already know what the maximum amount of benefit somebody's going to get anyway, set down by the Conservative government, what they're going to get anyway. So what it would actually be, and I would say, because there's 4 tax brackets, I would say there was 8 subsections where the negative income tax would depreciate down the actual levels. So you would start up at where the benefit cap is just now, and then it would actually decrease segmentally based on the actual tax of the actual people who are actually going to claim it, which is everybody. Okay? You would have maybe have a biometrics security measure, so that we know that people are not being fraudulent on it. We've read biometrics are already used in airports, and they're already used throughout the world, and it's successfully used. This would prevent fraud on the actual system once it's actually set up. But what this would actually do is replace all the other benefits. Now, this is just off the BBC, and I don't think this is a comprehensive list of benefits. It wouldn't replace all of them, like we were discussing there. We would still have the people who were ill, would still have a sickness benefit over and above this. But I mean, really, we've got adult social care, attendance allowance, a bereavement allowance, bereavement payment, budget loans, carers allowance, child benefit, child tax credit, child trust funds, cold weather payments, community care, consistent. Oh my goodness, man, there must be millions spent actually in administration of all these separate benefits. The amount of money that's lost in just purely administrating these must be absolutely colossal. Council tax, crisis loan, disability living allowance, employment support allowance, funeral payments, guardians allowance, healthcare travel costs, health costs, oof man, health and pregnancy grant, health, oh my goodness, health start scheme, maternity allowance, mobile supplement, over 80 pension, pension credit, reduced earnings allowance, retirement allowance. My goodness, honestly, you would think that, and that's not it finished, guys. There's absolutely tons more. There is no requirement for that. All of that is just money that's given to us in dribs and drabs, depending on how the government feel that we should be spending it. That system is nearly done. We're nearly moving away from this. But the only way that the negative income tax, and I'm going to combine that with the guaranteed basic income because it's basically the same, the only difference is it's staggered, is the fact that we could get rid of all of that and that we could move into a system where the state is not telling us what we are actually spending, the money that we give them to actually give us back, what we're not spending on. You would be able to then use the guaranteed basic income or the negative income tax to purchase a property. You wouldn't have to rent. The banks could then know that you're going to get a stable income, so that would take the pressure off local housing authorities to actually build more houses, because you would have the right to actually build your own house or pay for a mortgage off this. So the homeless rate would go down. You would have the opportunity to not be required through getting housing benefit to rent and only rent. And I mean, the other things that were there are just basically money. Each one of those is just an ability to get money. When you've got the money, I think you are a better arbiter of where that money should be spent than the state is. Milton Friedman identified two groups. He identified the poor who were poor because of their situation, and he identified the poor that was going to be habitually poor because of certain limitations. Now, that second group, regardless of whatever provision you put in, they're going to be in that situation. Whether the person's an alcoholic, whether he drinks too much, that person, unless they get help, or maybe they've got a disability that they can't get help from, you won't be able to legislate for them. They would also get additional support through a sickness allowance. But the ones that are poor because of their circumstance, because of the ability to use the money, I mean, they could set up their own businesses from their specific amounts of money that they were actually getting in, rather than actually getting a house even. So they would come off the actual the unemployment, or you would have a reduced burden on the taxpayer as the actual the increase in their wealth and the reduction that they would actually have on the state's allowances that they would actually get. So you would, in time, and what actually failed in Switzerland was the ability that the taxpayer was going to be burdened to a greater extent. With this system and with the negative income tax, the reduction, because it's a reducing benefit, and the richer you get, the more that you would actually get the less you would actually be a burden on the taxpayer, means that you would actually have an opportunity to bring the taxpayer on board, and they would be more likely to support a negative income tax rather than a guaranteed basic income. So that's basically it. If there's any questions, guys, I'm quite happy to actually listen to them.
What's your argument that you just want to call it something else?
No, the guaranteed basic income is a standard for everybody, regardless of how much money you're making. It's standard benefit. Okay, so say you get £1,000, everybody gets £1,000, regardless of how much money you're making. The negative income tax means that it's a staggered down the way, so the rich don't get as much as the poor would. So then it would be staggered in a way so that if, say for instance, £1,000 for the poorest in society, they wanted to actually then do a job, they would make money on top of that. That would put them potentially in a higher bracket. Their actual maybe lose £200, but they would still be making more than they would do if they were actually getting £1,000 on the lowest bracket. So it would be a staggered downward progressional benefit rather than a continual a constant benefit for everybody.
Okay.
Right.
I'm also a bit curious about the language. You didn't call it a universal basic income.
No, it's called a negative income tax. Milton Friedman, if you go onto YouTube, we'll see it in Milton Friedman.
No, you were using a different term instead of universal basic income. Was it guaranteed basic income?
Guaranteed basic, universal, yeah.
Is there any particular reason you
No.
prefer that term?
No.
It was interesting you're saying, you know, is it, for me, radical credentials of citizens' basic income are not just economic but they're cultural as well, right? So it removes this competition, it sets us up for the business of citizenry, and that's really important, that discussion. So, you know, this, like, I know you're talking about sort of means testing it.
Well, it's not really means tested, it'll be based on the already existing income tax plans.
Yeah.
So it's not really means tested, but,
Right.
but are you telling me that
Well,
somebody
I think-
who's in a high salary should get something the same as the person in the low salary?
Well, what
Doesn't
I'm
make
saying
sense.
is we can, that's the point, we're trying to create a different conversation. So if we create a culture where everybody receives the same amount of money, and then it ends that element of competition. For me, universal basic income or citizens' basic income, I think that language is important. I prefer citizens' basic income because the emphasis is on being a citizen. For me, that language is radical and it should be neutralised. So the idea that it also can create class consciousness, I'm all about that, right? Class consciousness, or consciousness, and then put it like class consciousness. So you instead it ends that competition where you have a.
But I understand, see everything you're just saying, that, but it still does not take away from the fact
I'm not
that
saying
you're going
it
to
does,
be
but
be paying a
it's
guy.
a cultural shift in the way we
Well,
think
let me
about
put it this way. I
wealth
understand.
and competition
I understand what you
and
just
how
said.
we need to contribute
I understand.
to society as individuals,
I understand.
as citizens, as a collective.
I understand.
And that's important.
That-
That's symbolic.
see-
Now
see-
it's important.
Okay, you finished? That get rejected in Switzerland. I think it would get rejected. Well, listen, I'll let you. I get rejected in Switzerland. 85% rejected it. So it's not going to. It's,
Well, that's interesting, but how is that in the context of here? I mean, it should be
it's the
quite
same thing.
specific.
It's the same.
Well,
It's the,
Switzerland is not the same society as.
no, it might not be the same.
Or
But
it is, it's
but
Glasgow.
are you
Is
going to
it?
have a referendum on it? Are you going? How are you going to
Am I
actually?
gonna have a
No,
referendum?
not you
This is
personally.
what this is.
Mhm.
A discussions, but the symbolic principle of it is still an important one because it creates a cultural shift and a change in thinking.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Well, it's only important if it gets actually put through as legislation, and it might not get put through as legislation for principle.
I understand the discussion about feasibility, not to adapt the ideas that everyone has here about how to change society for hopefully, I think, the better,
Yeah.
to be on a more sort of equal playing.
But it would
The
be
idea
more
of
equal though.
citizens' basic income is not to fit a model of what people think that we should do. The reason I think that I'm here
Mhm.
is to have a discussion so that people can see that it's more feasible, not
Yeah.
to say, oh, well, that's not going to pass.
I think it can be done differently, but I think there's going to have to be a realism in what's actually going to happen.
I think imagination.
No,
Realism.
well,
That's
okay,
an
well, so,
absolute thing that you
okay,
can identify.
okay, well, here's a practical thing. Are you going to give the same to a guy that's earning £3 million as you're going to do for somebody that's earning nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Why
the
not?
thing is,
Hold on, one at a time.
Yes, you give everybody the same, because it's a universal basic income, it's part of being part of society.
Sure.
And then you tax the rich more, and you can have it all combined as part of one system. Richard Murphy is busy work. I don't like his that much because his system gets a bit complicated because he taxes families more, and then you have to prove that you're living together and stuff like that. But the basic idea of combining a basic income that everybody gets with a progressive tax system answers the problem of giving it to the rich. The problem with persuading people, I think you've got to do a small scale experiment in a place and show how it can work.
So you seem to be assuming that they rejected it in Switzerland because of that. Is that based on polling from there? Or that?
If you have a look at YouTube, they've actually given some actual examples of why. I mean, I've not been to Switzerland conducting my own polling, so I know I understand. So I just thought I've not got a point of reference on why they've done it. The only thing I've done is seen what was actually on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they've actually made discussions on what the actual conclusion was after it was rejected. I think also you're going to increase the tax burden as well. So that's a potential downturn on why they weren't supporting it as well. Because to get that consistently, you would actually have to increase tax, and the burden of tax would go up potentially to actually facilitate such a high guaranteed basic income.
Deborah?
What about the concept has been kind of talked about in several circles when it comes to universal income of high earners having the option to gift back their
I
income.
think that's a great point, and I totally agree with that as well.
So if somebody earns enough that they are financially solid and they don't
Yeah.
need universal income, because the whole point of it is it's a leveller. It's something that brings everybody up to a basic level.
Yeah.
You know, so if somebody earns £3 million, the concept is that they can gift that back and they
Sure.
can decide where it's gifted back, whether it's children's services, disabled people, health services or something like that.
Sure.
They can designate. I mean that's something that's been spoken about and covered countless times. But
Yeah.
it should not be discounted
Yeah.
for the very rich as well as for the very poor. It should be everybody. And the concept that you mentioned burden. Somebody who's not financially active, as in they're not working, they're receiving a benefit, either because they're disabled or because they have young children to
Yeah.
care for or for various reasons,
Yeah, yeah.
shouldn't ever be counted as a burden.
No, I
They're
don't think they're a burden.
providing a service to the country.
No, I agree.
Because they're
I agree.
here, they're
Totally agree.
raising families, they're raising
Totally
the next
agree.
generation. And the benefits, especially as you look at the study in Manitoba, the benefits that came across the board were phenomenal
Yeah.
for mental health. I mean, they're to say that somebody's a burden.
No, I don't think they're a burden. I didn't. If I said that, that was a slip of the tongue. That's not what I meant at all. No.
With all the economic jargon, maybe you've heard of the Laffer curve. So the Laffer curve is basically a curve which shows the more people that can be taxed, you know, the more wealthy they are, the
Yeah.
more likely they are to hire accountants and
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
offshore havens. So if you're really saying this is going to make a difference, and you can use, you know, Friedman's kind of terminology, I don't see how much of a difference it will make if we don't give them, say, £1,000 or £2,000 a month. I think they're always going to find ways to avoid paying this.
Although you talk about the rich.
Yeah.
Well, the rich is always going to have a greater opportunity to do that as well.
That much of a difference.
Because there's two things as well. If you're going to do accounting, it's very. Would you use that if it wasn't the guaranteed basic income? It was a level basic income, and you were giving them, say, we'll use the Swiss model, 2,500, just as you were doing the poor. Are you going to tax that person? They have to then give it, and then they get it back. I mean, there's an incorporation. It's a bureaucratic process.
I think to start it off, you know, maybe we need to get female in a position of power. We're talking about this in the context of a neoliberal ideology in the media. So in the media, you kind of see workers being scroungers.
Not at all. Not at all.
But
Not at
here,
all.
I'm just saying
No,
in
no.
general, we see that in the media. Maybe this is in Switzerland as well. Is that to get benefit, you're a scrounger because
Yeah.
you haven't got that kind of.
No, I think the thing with the negative income tax and the guaranteed basic income is that if you are a taxpayer, you're going to it's going to be you're going to have a greater likelihood of actually voting for something that's not going to increase your tax burden. If it's 2,500, you might, depending on, obviously, I've not done the maths, and this would have to be done, but this could increase the actual tax burden on the individual. And that's maybe why it might be rejected, whereas the negative income tax might be actually be acceptable. So, I mean, it depends. We're all looking at the same thing. I'm just looking at a slightly different take to actually get something that I agree with what the rest of you said. The only different take would be that it would be staggered in a progressive manner.
Part of like the whole idea around this citizens' basic income is it removes the stigma of receiving benefits.
But everybody's still going to do it in a negative basic income as well.
See if you're staggering people, so the people that don't have an income are receiving more. These people, it's not going to change the perception of people on benefits as scroungers or as
Well, everybody's going to be receiving it anyway, even a negative, even in this, so it doesn't really matter. All it's going to be is staggering, it's going to be progressive.
So someone, if you're saying over earns £3 million a year doesn't earn anything on it, but someone that doesn't have an income as a carer earns the maximum then, they're still looked at. It's the same way, like that's the reason universal free prescriptions are coming out of Scotland, is to remove that stigma, and that's really important.
Well, as I said, the benefit, okay, there's going to be a staggered benefit, but there's still going to be a benefit to everybody, so it's not going to be in a manner that nobody's going to get it, so somebody's going to be stigmatised. That it's going to be an amount of money for everybody, and not just for the rich, or not just a universal benefit. So it'll be staggered, but everybody will get it.
In this sense, how are you going to prevent people who might not have a job at the moment but would be able to take on a part-time job, for example, but that would not give them any sort of
would they getting paid for this part-time job?
Yes.
Right, okay, so it would increase their return, so they get the basic income and they would also get the salary from the part-time job, that then would actually progressively move them up the actual benefits change, so they would increase their salary and the actual reduction on the actual universal benefit would happen as well. So it would be staggered, but it would be deliberately staggered so that the more they're getting, they're still receiving the benefit, but it's just staggered. I'm getting major problems with universal benefits. I think I understand the argument for the stigma, but it seems pointless somebody who's very rich getting the same as somebody that's very poor.